The Secret of the Silver Key, written by Phyllis J. Perry. Welcome back, second grade friends. We are ready for chapter 2 in our story, Secret of the Silver Key. As soon as they walked back into the kitchen, when they reached home, Fribble's mother asked, "Well, what did you find out at the library?" "We learned that an antique is something that's really old," Fribble said, stressing the end of the word when he spoke. "But I still don't know who Auntie Q is," Scamper admitted, shaking his head. He furrowed his brow and he stroked his whiskers like his older brother. Fribble looked at his little brother and he sighed. Once Scamper got the wrong idea in his head, it was very hard to get it out again. But suddenly Fribble turned to his mother and he asked a question. "Are antiques valuable?" That question had just occurred to him. His mother and his father had given him a brand new baseball glove for his birthday, and Scamper had given him a brand new ball. So why would Grandma and Grandpa give him something that was old and used unless somehow an antique was worth a lot? "Well, some of them are," his mother said. "Just a block over on Edam Street, old Mrs. Slippers runs an antique shop out of her little white cottage. She lives upstairs, but in the downstairs rooms she keeps lots of beautiful old things for sale. Some of them are very expensive." "Really?" Fribble asked. He clutched the key that was hanging around his neck. His tail swished, and his whiskers quivered. Next weekend, he would be the owner of a valuable antique. "Is that where Auntie Q lives?" asked Scamper. Fribble ignored his brother, and instead he continued questioning his mother. "Do you mean that just a block over there's an antique shop?" "Oh, yes," his mother said. "I'm sure that you've seen it. There's a big sign out front that says antiques." Fribble thought for a moment. "Is that the one where there's an old stove in the front lawn with a pot of petunias sitting on top of it?" "That's the one," his mother said. "Yeah, I have seen it," Fribble said. "I always thought that it was kind of crazy to keep a stove out in your yard. I didn't know that it was an antique shop. Can I go there and look around?" "Oh, me too," squeaked Scamper. "Well, not by yourselves," his mother said. "But I know where it is," Fribble insisted, "and I'll hold on to Scamper's paw when we cross the street. Promise." "No, if you go inside an antique shop, I have to go with you. I know you'll try to behave yourselves, but many of the valuable antiques are also very breakable." Fribble recognized the firm tone in his mother's voice, and he realized that no amount of pleading would make her change her mind. "Well, would you take us then?" Fribble asked. "Well, certainly not today," Fribble's mother said. "It's late, and soon I've got to fix dinner. It's a special one tonight because it's your birthday," she said, with a smile. "Well, what about tomorrow?" Fribble asked. Not even tempting food could distract Fribble from his eagerness to go visit the antique shop. He loved secrets and mysteries, and he had to find out what sort of surprise his birthday key held. "I'm not sure if the antique shop is open on Sundays," his mother said. "Well, we could walk over and find out," suggested Scamper, who was never short of energy. "We won't go in the shop without you, of course," he said to his mother, firmly shaking his head back and forth. "But we could look for a sign that Fribble could read to tell if it's open and watch to see if any customers are coming in or going out." "Good thinking," said Fribble, "but I got a better idea. Since it's a store, the owner probably lists her address and the store hours in an ad in the phone book. Let's look." Fribble's mother got the big phone book from the shelf and she placed it on the table. "Do you remember how to use this?" she asked. Fribble nodded. "There's all sorts of good information in the front of the book. And then everybody's phone numbers are listed in the white pages," he said. And last of all, the yellow pages have listings and ads for businesses like antique shops. That's right, Fribble's mother said. Proud that he remembered how to use the telephone book, Fribble opened it to the beginning of the yellow pages. Antiques will be near the front, he said to his brother confidently, because everything is listed in alphabetical order, and A for antiques is the first letter of the alphabet. Well, I know part of the alphabet, Scamper said proudly. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. He hesitated and then he sighed. But I don't know all of it yet. While Scamper was reciting the alphabet, Fribble was carefully flipping through the pages of the telephone book and reading out loud, stumbling over the harder words. Accountants, air conditioning, ambulance service, antiques. At this point, Fribble's whiskers began to twitch. He knew he was getting close. Here it is, he said with a squeak of triumph. His paw was pointing at each word as he read. Mrs. Slipper's Antique Shop, bringing you the best. Buy, sell, trade. 137 Edam Street, Cheddarville. Mondays through Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays, noon to 5 p.m. The store is open on Sundays, Fribble announced excitedly. Can we go after lunch tomorrow, please? Well, you both have to be on your very best behavior, his mother said, because you have to be careful and quiet inside an antique shop. It's not like the toy store where you can handle all the cars and trucks and try zipping them around on the counter. Or like the library where you can pick any book that you want. In an antique shop, you look at things, but you don't touch. We can remember that, couldn't we, Scamper? Fribble said solemnly. Scamper looked very serious as he nodded his head up and down. I remember Mrs. Slippers had a sign just inside her door, Fribble's mother continued. It was a little poem, and it goes like this. Lovely to look at, delightful to hold, but if you break it, consider it sold. What does that mean? Scamper asked. Fribble said, I think it means that if you drop something in her store and you break it, you have to pay for it. Oh, Scamper said. Well, I wouldn't want to buy something that's broken. Neither would anybody else, said his mother. That's the point. But as long as you understand that you can't run around and grab things, I'll take you after lunch tomorrow. Thanks, Fribble said. Now, why don't you two go set the table for me and then run along and play while I finish getting dinner ready? Without a murmur, Fribble started setting the placemats and plates on the table while Scamper counted out the silverware. When the table was all set, Fribble and Scamper went back outside to play catch again. As he automatically caught and tossed the ball, being careful not to throw it too hard, Fribble's mind raced. An antique shop, he thought. I'm going to go to an antique shop tomorrow. I'll be sure to take my birthday key. Maybe Mrs. Slipper will know what sort of things it might open. That's the end of chapter 2. So what kind of book did Fribble use? It was something he had at home, not at the library. Well, we will use one of those next week when you come back to library. Thanks for reading chapter 2 with me today.